Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So today our topic of discussion will be the osteology of the humerus. So let's start. We know that the humerus is a typical long bone and it is a part of the appendicular skeleton. There are two types of skeleton. One is the axial skeleton and the other one is appendicular skeleton. The axial skeleton is mainly the axis, the center of the skeleton, and this is the part of the upper limb and appendicular. So here we can see that the head of the humerus is articulating with the glenoid cavity of the scapula. So here we have two parts of the humerus. The upper part or the globular part is the head, and the lower part, or the cylindrical one, this is the shaft of the humerus. The upper part, the head, is globular, and the shaft of the humerus has two shapes. This is the half of the humerus, and the upper half, here we have the upper half, this is the circular or cylindrical, and the lower half, this is triangular, because there are borders which divide it into irregular shape like this. You can see that here is a border. Here you can see the ridges extending out, so we will discuss it later. Now I am giving you the general introduction to the humerus. So this is the head, this is the shaft, and this is the half, and this is called the upper half, and this is called the lower half. So let's move towards the osteology and the landmarks. So here we have the humerus bone. So now you have got the major points and the general osteology and the general parts of the humerus. Now we will discuss about the landmarks of the humerus. So first of all, I will start with the landmarks of the humerus. Here we have tubercles. You can see the extended area of the bone. These are the tubercles of the humerus. One is called the lesser tubercle, here you can see, and the other one is called greater tubercle here. So these are the tubercle of the humerus. Here you can see the extension outside. So between these there is a groove. You can see here that you can see a groove here between the lesser tubercle and the greater tubercle. This groove is called the intertubercular sulcus or the bicipital groove. So this groove is called intertubercular sulcus or bicipital groove because this is between two tubercles, the lesser tubercle and the greater tubercle. So next, here is the surgical neck. Just below the head and the tubercles there is the surgical neck. This is called the surgical neck. Why this is called the surgical neck? This point is common for the fracture, and here we have axillary nerve passing through it towards the deltoid, upon which if that is damaged, the deltoid muscle get paralyzed. So this is the surgical neck. Actually we have three necks of the humerus. One is the morphological neck, the second one is surgical neck, and the third one is the anatomical neck. So we will discuss. Here we have the surgical neck, just here, the one I have showed. This is the surgical neck of the humerus, and you know that here there is a epiphyseal plate. Okay, if your age you are in the growing age and your epiphysis here is not fully fused with the head, so there will be a gap between the bone. There will be a epiphyseal plate, so that epiphyseal plate is called the morphological neck, and below this head where there is articulation, this point you can see at the tip, this point is called the anatomical neck, and this the most common place for the fracture, this is called the surgical neck of the body, of the humerus, sorry. So now what have I discussed, that there are two tubercles, the lesser tubercle and the greater tubercle. There is a shaft, there is a sulcus between it which is called intertubercular sulcus, and there is a surgical neck, and and crust. Okay, one more thing, that this here you can see there is a lesser tubercle and a greater tubercle, and here you can see here the line or the groove. This is called the crust of the lesser tubercle, and here this is called the crust of the greater tubercle. Now this site, the lesser tubercle and the greater tubercle, it has surfaces, smooth surfaces, which gives articulation to the muscle tendons. So we will discuss it in the next video, the muscles, the attachment of the muscles. But this video we will discuss, in this video we will only discuss about the landmarks and the surfaces in the humerus. So here let's go move. So surfaces, let's see the surfaces now. I have told you previously that in the humerus there are two halves, the upper half and the lower half. The upper half is circular and the lower half is cylindrical, and the lower half is triangular. Now I will discuss that why I said this. Now you can see I have discussed some points with you, and here you can see that that there are two borders. The one is called the medial border, which is towards the center of the body, and the other is the lateral border. But in this case we have two extra surfaces because of the different shape or the peculiar shape of the humerus. So we will discuss it, how does it make the shape. Here you can see that here from the bottom of the crust of the greater tubercle there is coming a border, that this green border you can see, this is called the anterior border. It comes from here and gets here, okay, into the radial fossa. So this surface is called anterior border. Okay, so now the anterior border is dividing the anterior surface into two parts. One part is called the anteromedial because this is the anterior surface and towards medial part, and the other one on this side, this is the anterolateral because this anterior border is dividing the anterior surfaces. And so this part will be anterior, and because it is towards the lateral part, so it will be the anterolateral surface. So this is you can see the green one, this is the anterior border, and this was what I was talking about, okay, anterolateral surface and anteromedial surface. Hope you may get it. So now we will move towards the medial border. This is the medial border of the humerus, and this is the lateral border of the humerus. This is the posterior surface and the anterior one I have showed. Now let's move towards the lower part of the humerus, which gives attachment to the ulna and the radius. So here we have the lower part. This is called the coronoid fossa. Why it is called coronoid fossa, I will discuss it later. And the other one is called radial fossa. This one is called radial fossa. This is the depression, so we call it fossa. The fossa is a deep depression, so this is coronoid fossa. The third fossa on the humerus bone is on the posterior side, just here below, and this is called olecranon fossa. This is the olecranon fossa. The lower part of the humerus consists of the two epicondyle, the medial epicondyle towards the medial part and the lateral epicondyle towards the lateral side. This is the lateral epicondyle. And here there is a depression of the medial epicondyle which gives a passageway for the ulnar nerve to pass. You know that if it is disturbed, the ulnar nerve, or you get not damage, just you get a tingling sensation sometimes. So that tingling sensations are usually produced due to this ulnar nerve. So this is the ulnar nerve which goes from posteriorly and then goes into the anterior compartment of the forearm. So these are the general features here, and now we will discuss about some other. This is the deltoid tuberosity. Deltoid tuberosity, the here is a impression on the real bone and on this model also. This deltoid tuberosity is the impression for the attachment of the muscle deltoid. Okay, so this impression is the attachment site for the deltoid muscle. So this is called deltoid tuberosity. Now we will discuss about this lateral supracondylar ridge. Here I have the lateral epicondyle. So above the epicondyle it will be the superior surface, so it will be lateral supraepicondylar ridge. Epicondyle from this and superior from supra and supraepicondylar ridge. So this will be the supraepicondylar ridge. It gives different muscle attachments, we will discuss it about later. And then here we have medial supraepicondylar ridge, because this medial epicondyle, here we have medial epicondyle and above it this is called medial supraepicondylar ridge, because this is the medial epicondyle and superior to it the medial supraepicondylar ridge there is. Okay, so I think I have discussed about all its features. Now let's come toward the posterior side. On posterior side there is a nutrient foramen which direction is downwards. In the general anatomy BD Chaurasia and the handbook, he told that wherever the direction of the foramen is, okay, so the growing point will be always opposite to it. In this diagram or the bone we can see the humerus, always the foramen is downwards, so the growing end is upward. These two are always opposite, and this is the radial groove which provides attachment to the medial tricep, medial part of the tricep. So these were the landmarks of the humerus. Let's discuss it again for revision. This is the crest of the greater tubercle, this is crest of the lesser tubercle, and this is lesser tubercle and this is greater tubercle. This is the anatomical neck and this is head. I have discussed it all, it's just a revision so that we can get all those. This is medial border, anatomical neck, lesser tubercle, greater tubercle. One point there, that here the greater tubercle has three surfaces, flat surfaces, this and here this flat surface. These three flat surfaces will give attachment to the muscles of the rotator cuff. I will discuss it later inshallah. This video is only on the osteology, so I will not discuss about the muscles. Here is the deltoid tuberosity and you can see the impression. Okay, this is deltoid tuberosity and this is anterior border which is dividing the anterior surface into two parts, the anteromedial and the anterolateral. This is simple. And here we have anterolateral surface and here we have this is the shaft of the humerus. I think they due to this mobile rotation I can't judge the real location, so sorry for that. This is medial supracondylar ridge and this is the posterior surface and this is the radial groove. Okay, and there you can see there is a foramen. So this was all about the humerus and its landmarks. Okay, one more thing, here we have fossas. This is called the coronoid fossa because the coronoid process of the ulna gets attached to it. Okay, and this is called the radial fossa. And okay, the main part, the trochlea and the capitulum. This is the capitulum, the articulatory surface. The capitulum attached with the radius. Okay, this is the spherical part. This is the spherical part and attaches with the radius. And this is the trochlea. This has two surfaces dividing. Here you can see this part just forms articulation with the trochlear notch of the ulna. So this is coronoid process because it gives the place to the coronoid process of the ulna, and this, the radial fossa, gives the radial process of the radial part gets fit into it. I will show you. Here you can see this is the trochlear notch. Here let's see ulna. Here this is the olecranon process, okay, and this is the trochlear notch in the center, and this is the coronoid process. So we will discuss it later. So this was all about the osteology of the humerus. So hope you get it. If you have any queries, you can ask it in the comments, or you feel that I have mistook something or I am mistaking somewhere, so you can tell me in the comment section. So Allah Hafiz. Stay tuned for the next video. Next video will be on the muscle of the humerus.